Hello and welcome to the development update from the Tau team. You're here with me, Fola. And without further ado, let's pass it over to Karim for his overview of this.
Okay, thank you, Fola, and welcome everyone to the April update for the Tau development team. David has been working on two fronts. On the theoretical front, he's been working on Boolean algebras and specifically the resolution of a system of Boolean inequalities, which is a task that will be required for implementing features of Tau, such as the law of changing the laws. So he's coming up with an algorithm to do a a procedure to do a consistency check on systems of Boolean inequalities. He's also been working on TML program optimizations, and specifically he came up with an algorithm to optimize query splitting and CQC also that's independent of the Z3 engine. So that's good to see him working on both fronts. Luca has also been working, doing some research basically on the theoretical front, a task that was assigned to him by OHAD, which is researching monadic second order logic over infinite binary trees. And he's done a great job researching that topic and presenting it over two 2-hour-long lectures to the academic panel, which was very well received. Thank you, Luca, very impressive job there. He's also going back to his work that he's been doing last year over the 2CNF extraction from BDDs, and which is also a program optimization that's going to help avoid the exponential growth of BDDs. And he wrote an abstract of that project for his master's thesis. Tomasz has finished working on built-ins as lambda functions, or character built-ins. He's also implemented a new EOF character as a built-in. He's also resolved some ambiguities in the TML language specification itself, which will help with the parsing speed of TML programs. Him and I also worked on updating the README file on the GitHub repository, which is still a work in progress. And he's currently merging all the work that he's done this month and the month before that into the main TML branch. Juan has also been working on optimizations, specifically the type info system. He's managed to remove all type info from BDDs, which will have to keep BDD size down, and instead he's handling types via program transformations. Umar has also been working on the parsing using the early parser. In particular, he's been profiling the parse force generation and found out that for ambiguous grammars, the parsing time is potentially exponential as a function of the length of the input string. So in order to avoid that problem, he implemented an algorithm he called the left-right binarization, which actually helped bring down the complexity from exponential back down to linear. And he's done all the profiling on that to prove his results. He's also working on a mechanism for user-defined disambiguating of languages or grammars that are already ambiguous. On the TML, on the Agoras Live side, Andre is still working on updating the application framework, the boost from version 4.0 to version 5.0. He also changed many front-end components to improve cross-platform compatibility between, say, mobile and online version of browsers. That's it for the development team. I'll pass it over back to you, Fola.
Thank you so much, Karim. I'll pass it over to Luis for his update for the month.
Hi, everybody. So I've been preparing and delivering weekly sessions on MSO to the academic panel. I'm nearly finished with the word automata and will soon be transitioning to tree automata in a way that I think is smooth and progressive for the whole team, especially for the academic panel. And I've also been exploring some topics that might be relevant to Tau, like hyperlogics and two-level grammars. So that's all.
I will pass it over to Tomasz for his update for this month.
Thank you, Fola. Hello, everyone. I've continued to work on the parser part. I've rewritten character built-ins. Now they work as lambda functions, which can be provided to the parser, and parser then dynamically calls these lambdas to evaluate characters when needed. I've also added support for special character end of file. I've improved traversing of the parse forest so we can resolve ambiguities right in an action called from a traverse node. Regarding TML grammar file, I've resolved all ambiguities I found. And I also did some updates to README file, removed some obsolete stuff, and actualized the section about strings. And currently I'm merging changes, debugging and testing, so we can merge the early parser branch into the master branch. So that was my April.
Thank you so much, Tomasz. And Andre, tell us about your month.
Yeah, this month we were continued testing Agoras Live platform and decided to update the core framework of the front end because the compatibility with mobile platform was not as good as expected. So I moved from Bootstrap version 4 to Bootstrap version 5 and changed lots of front-end applications to a more mobile-friendly versions and more light versions, and I'm almost done on that transition, and we will continue with the hired tester to test Agoras Live platform. Also, plus to it, I've improved the design of the Agoras Live. It now looks much more slicker, and you will see it once we will be ready for a public beta testing. So that's pretty much for this month. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Andre. And I'll pass it over to Juan for his update for the month.
Thank you, Fola, and hi, everybody. So this month I have been working also on the TML code base, pretty much. Instead of focusing on cleaning up and refactoring many of the features that we have in there, I put special attention to what is the type system, and I have designed a new mechanism, which is by now called the type resolution transformation, which will be replacing what we currently have, which are very elegant encoding of the types in the BDD's data structures, but that we are aware that are causing some performance penalties as well as some difficulties to implement some of our core built-ins and core functionalities there under the hood. So this new type resolution will keep the language as it is. It will not require anything else from the TML programmer as we are right now, and will be also supporting our polymorphic tables or relationships in the transparent way that we currently support them. And yeah, that's it's currently converging. Our whole regression suite is close to be closed under this new update. So I guess you would start seeing the replacement of the type system in the repository in the coming days or week or so. So this is a relevant aspect of the system, is crucial, and so it took some careful design to get resolved. So yeah, that's all from my side for this month, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.
So I'll pass it over to David for his update this month.
Thank you, Fola. Hi, everyone. as Karim said, this month I've been working in Boolean algebras from the theoretical point of view, and also in the optimization of TML programs. Regarding the first item, in Boolean algebras, where I have been working in the resolution of system of inequalities. The idea is to give an algorithm or find a formula that could help us to decide quickly the consistency problem, for example, just for starting. It's obvious that in the case of simple algebras, when we only have 0 and 1, that's trivial. We could enumerate all the possibilities. But in the setting of Lindenbaum-Tarski algebras, that's more complicated. Regarding the optimization of TML programs, I'm working in a branch and bound implementation to search the best or something close to the best optimization that we could perform into a TML program so it runs as fast as possible. The idea is to keep track of, is to use the notion of mutated program, which encodes somehow the original programs and all the changes that we do when applying its optimization. That's all for the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, but maybe it is worth saying that we have an algorithm for solving Boolean inequations. David was looking for alternative algorithms, but we have one.
Thank you very much, David. And I'll pass it over to Luca for his update for the month.
Thank you, Vola. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. So last month, I have started preparing a lecture on how to decide theories using the MSO decision procedure over the infinite binary tree. And this month, I finished and created the presentation and actually gave it to the academic panel, as Karim has told you before. Aside from that, I've been going back to the 2CNF extraction that I started last year. And this is going to be my master thesis project now. And for this purpose, I've reviewed the current status and put all of the main ideas into a document to share so that people can know what the basic idea is and where this project is going to take us. And yeah, that's been my update. Thank you, and I'll give it back to Vola.
Thank you very much. And Ahad, please tell us about your month.
First, just to clarify about what Karim said regarding the binary left-right optimization of the parser. The parser is an early parser, and the early parser is never exponential on even on ambiguous grammars, but the parse forest construction, which Umar was able to crack, that's very hard problem, he was able to crack it, was exponential in the size of the production, not in the size of the input string. So I devised a method to avoid this exponential blow-up, and Umar implemented it, and it worked very well. Another clarification about systems of Boolean inequalities. We have a solution, and it is part of my method of quantifier elimination in the theories of Boolean algebra, but David is an algebraic geometer, and he can give a fresh new light on this topic. For my update, I continue working on the software specification language, which is very promising. I can say that we have a new temporal logic and a new software specification language that is very attractive comparing to other temporal logics and other software specification logics in its own right, even without taking into account the law of changing the law, which of course it supports, but even without that, it is very compelling in much broader perspective. And we get to understand it mainly together with Professor Franconi. He also puts a lot of effort on see what can be done with this language, and we continue to study it, and that's all.
And last but not least, Umar, tell us how your month has been.
Hi team, glad to share the report for this month. One of the biggest accomplishments in this period has been the successful implementation of LR binarization, which is a left-right binarization for the early items in order to improve the reuse of the parsing nodes within the forest in order to avoid the combinatorial explosion. So with this, the impact is that forest generation is now tractable even for highly ambiguous grammars. This feature is now available as a bin LR flag, which can be disabled and enabled, and it has been tested on various previous tests and so on. Also, we have been trying to profile the forest generation to really measure the impact. We have created various charts for comparison, and they have been reviewed with the dev team to show the gains and the improvements that we received with this optimization. Overall, I have been identifying different needs and sharing my insight with the team on the use of parsing in general from the customer perspective. Also helping Tomasz specifically in how to parse built-ins and how to integrate them in the early parser. There have been effort in merging changes from the feature branch into the master early branch. And several bugs were identified, shared, and their fixes were shared with the team. Also, as a part of the work in the next month, I've been thinking and prototyping what could be a good design for handling ambiguities during forest traversal. One of the suggestions has been to introduce callbacks. So how using those callbacks, we can extract the parse trees, we can test the structure of those parse trees, and how we can count those trees for better user access and testing. I've been thinking and planning for that. Thank you. Bye.
And thanks everyone for joining this update. And we will see you on Telegram and our socials. Cheers.